Welcome back to the Oceanfront Builders channel. If you're new here and you're passionate about construction, remodeling, and seeing how things are truly built right, go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe for our deep dive videos. Today we are tackling one of the most misunderstood and often feared aspects of any remodel in Southern California, working with your Homeowners Association, or the dreaded three-letter acronym HOA. Many homeowners see the HOA as an obstacle, a hurdle designed to make their lives difficult. But we're here to tell you, with the right preparation, the right mindset, and the right team, navigating your HOA doesn't have to be a nightmare. In fact, it can be a smooth and predictable part of your project. The key is understanding the game, knowing the rules, and playing it better than anyone else. Let's dive in. The very first step before you even sketch a design on a napkin or call a single contractor is to recognize what an HOA actually is and why it exists. It's not just a board of nosy neighbors looking to squash your dreams. In principle, an HOA is a legal entity created to maintain the quality and value of the properties within a specific community. They do this by enforcing a set of rules and guidelines known as the Covenants, Conditions, and Restrictions, or CC&Rs. Think of it this way. The reason you love the neighborhood enough to buy a home there, the uniform look, the well-kept lawns, the clean streets, is likely because of the HOA's enforcement. Their goal is to prevent one person's unapproved bright purple paint job or a poorly constructed fence from lowering the property values for everyone else. When you approach them with this mindset, that you are partners in preserving community value, the entire dynamic shifts from confrontational to collaborative. So, where do you begin? You begin with a treasure hunt for documents. Every homeowner in an HOA is legally bound by a set of governing documents. You should have received a mountain of them when you closed on your home. If you can't find them, don't panic. You can request a copy from your HOA's management company, or sometimes they're available on the HOA's community website portal. You are looking for 3, possibly 4 key documents. Let's call them the holy trinity of HOA remodeling. First and most important are the CC&Rs. This is the constitution of your community. It's a legally binding document that is recorded with the county. It outlines the rights and obligations of the homeowners and the association. For your remodel, this is the master document. It will contain the broad strokes. It will define what constitutes an improvement or alteration. It will state in no uncertain terms that you must seek approval before making any changes to the exterior of your property, and sometimes even significant changes to the interior if they affect shared structures, like in a condo or townhome. It will outline the general powers of the Architectural Review Committee. This document is dense, it's full of legalese, but you have to read the sections related to property improvements. Second are the bylaws. If the CC&Rs are the Constitution, the bylaws are the laws that govern how the HOA itself operates. This document explains how the board is elected, how meetings are conducted, how voting works, and the duties and responsibilities of the board members. Why is this important for your remodel? Because it tells you how the approval process is supposed to work. It might specify how much time the committee has to respond to your application, what constitutes a quorum for a vote on your project, and what the formal process is for appealing a decision. Knowing the bylaws can be your secret weapon if you ever run into a procedural issue with your application. Third are the rules and regulations. These are the day-to-day practical applications of the CC&Rs. This is often the most useful document for a homeowner planning a project. If the CC&Rs say all fences must be of an approved style and material, the rules and regulations will say approved fences are to be constructed of cedar or vinyl 6 feet in height with a dog-ear picket style. This document gets into the nitty-gritty. It will list approved paint color palettes, roofing materials, window styles, landscaping requirements, and rules for things like satellite dishes and solar panels. It will also, and this is critically important, contain the rules for the construction process itself. This includes things like permissible work hours, for example, no work before 8 a.m. or after 6 p.m. on weekdays, and maybe limited or no work on weekends. It will dictate rules on contractor parking, debris and dumpster placement, and noise levels. Ignoring these rules is the fastest way to get your project shut down and start racking up fines, even after your design has been approved. Now that you have your documents, it's time to put on your detective hat. You need to read them, not just skim them. Get a highlighter, make notes, You're looking for answers to a specific set of questions. Question 1. What requires approval? Be crystal clear on this. Most HOAs are primarily concerned with anything visible from the street or from a neighbor's property. This obviously includes paint, roofing, windows, doors, and any new additions. But it can also include less obvious things. Changing your front yard from grass to drought-tolerant landscaping, you need approval. Installing a new air conditioning unit on the side of your house, you need approval. Even changing the style of your garage door or front gate often requires a formal application. A common mistake is assuming that if you're replacing something with a similar item, you don't need approval. That's a dangerous assumption. Always assume you need to ask. For interior remodels, you're usually in the clear unless you're in a condominium or townhome. In those cases, any work that affects shared walls, plumbing within the walls, flooring that could create noise issues for the unit below, or anything that alters the building's structural integrity will absolutely require HOA approval. Question 2. What are the specific design limitations? This is where you comb through the rules and regulations. They might be in a separate document altogether, sometimes called an architectural standards or design guidelines booklet. This is your Bible. It will tell you things like materials. Can you use stucco? Hardy board siding? What type of roofing material is allowed? Asphalt, shingle, tile, metal? Colors. Is there a pre-approved color palette? Many Southern California HOAs have a specific list of Dunn-Edwards or Sherwin-Williams paint codes you must choose from. You can't just pick a color you like. Windows. Are there rules about the window grid patterns, the color of the frames, often white or bronze, the type of glass, fences and walls? What are the height restrictions? What materials are allowed? Are there setback requirements from the property line? Landscaping. Is there a required percentage of lawn coverage, a list of approved plants and trees, a prohibition on artificial turf, additions and structures? What are the setback requirements from your property lines for a new addition? Are there restrictions on the percentage of your lot that can be covered by buildings? Are there height restrictions? You and your designer or architect must treat these guidelines as non-negotiable constraints at the beginning of the design process. Designing your dream addition only to find out it violates the setback requirements by 5 feet is a costly and heartbreaking mistake. You have to design within the rules. Question 3. What is the exact submission process? Look for the section on architectural applications. You need to understand the mechanics of the process. Who do you submit the application to? Is it the property manager, or do you submit it directly to the Architectural Review Committee, often called the ARC, or sometimes the Design Review Board? What forms do you need to fill out? What supporting documents are required? How many sets of plans do they need? Do the plans need to be professionally drafted by an architect, or are hand-drawn sketches acceptable for smaller projects? When does the committee meet? Most ARCs are made up of volunteer homeowners, and they may only meet once a month. This is a critical piece of information for your project timeline. If they meet on the third Thursday of every month, and you miss the submission deadline for that meeting by 1 day, you've just delayed your project approval by a full month. Once you've thoroughly digested the governing documents, the next phase begins, preparing your submission packet. This is where the majority of homeowners make mistakes. A sloppy, incomplete, or vague application is an invitation for denial. Your goal is to make it so easy for the committee to say yes that it's the path of least resistance. You want to anticipate every question they could possibly have and answer it in your submission. Let's break down the components of a perfect bulletproof HOA application packet. First, the application form itself. Fill it out completely. Don't leave any section blank. If a section doesn't apply, write NA. It shows you've read it carefully. Your description of the work should be detailed and precise. Instead of writing remodeling the backyard, write installation of a 400 square foot concrete patio, a 15-foot by 15-foot cedar pergola per attached plans, and replacement of 500 square feet of grass with drought-tolerant landscaping using plants from the approved list. Specificity is your friend. Second, the plans and drawings. For any significant project, you'll need professional drawings. This includes a site plan which shows your entire property, the location of your house, and where the proposed work will take place. It needs to show property lines and the distances or setbacks from the new construction to those property lines. You'll also need floor plans and elevations. The elevations are what the committee cares about most, as they show what the house will look like from the outside from all four directions. These drawings need to be to scale and clearly dimensioned. They should call out the exact materials and finishes that will be used. Third, a detailed materials list and samples. Do not just say you are using tile for the roof. Specify the manufacturer, the product name, the model number, and the color. For example, Eagle Roofing Bel Air Profile Concrete Tile in the color Ponderosa Pine. Even better, include a printout of the product spec sheet from the manufacturer's website. For paint, don't just write beige. Provide the brand, the paint name, and the specific color code like Sherwin-Williams Accessible Beige SW7036, and most importantly, provide physical samples. Tape paint color swatches directly to your application. If you're proposing a new stone veneer, include a small sample board or a high-quality color photograph. For windows, include a cut sheet from the manufacturer. You want the committee members to be able to see and touch exactly what you're proposing. This removes all ambiguity and shows you've done your homework. Fourth, your contractor's information. The HOA needs to know that the work is being performed by a qualified, licensed, and insured professional. You will need to submit a copy of your contractor's state license, their certificate of liability insurance, and their workers' compensation insurance certificate. The HOA will often ask to be named as an additionally insured party on the contractor's liability policy. This is a standard request. It protects the HOA in the unlikely event that your contractor causes damage to common areas, like cracking a community sidewalk with a heavy truck. A professional, experienced contractor will be familiar with this process and can provide these documents to you quickly. If your contractor hesitates or doesn't know what this is, it's a major red flag. Fifth, photographs. Take clear, color photos of the current state of the area you plan to remodel. Print them out and label them. View of backyard from west property line, existing condition. Front of house showing existing windows to be replaced. This gives the committee a before picture to compare with your proposed after plans. Some homeowners even use basic photo editing software to create a rendering of what the finished project will look like. This can be incredibly effective. Sixth, neighbor acknowledgement forms. This isn't always required, but it is one of the most powerful tools in your arsenal. Many HOAs will require you to get a signature from your immediate neighbors, acknowledging that they have seen your plans. Even if it's not required, you should do it anyway. Walk over to your neighbors on each side and the ones across the street and behind you. Show them the plans, explain what you're doing, and ask them to sign a simple form stating they've been informed. This does two things. First, it shows the HOA that you are being a considerate and proactive neighbor. Second, it prevents a neighbor from going to the HOA later and claiming they were blindsided by your project. By getting their signature, you've neutralized a potential source of opposition before it can even start. Assembling a packet this detailed takes time and effort. It can feel like a lot of work before you've even broken ground. If you're feeling overwhelmed by the sheer amount of paperwork and technical details required, this is a stage where a professional can make a world of difference. An experienced design build firm, for example, will have managed this process hundreds of times. They know exactly what the boards in Los Angeles and Orange County are looking for. If you ever have a question about what a proper submission looks like, you can always reach out to a professional for guidance. You can drop us a line at info@oceanfrontbuilders.com just to ask a question about the process. We believe a well-informed homeowner is a successful one. After you've submitted your application, the waiting game begins. This is where patience is a virtue. Remember, the ARC is typically made up of volunteers with their own jobs and lives. They need time to review your packet. You can and should follow up politely. A simple email to the property manager a week or so before the scheduled meeting asking to confirm that your application is on the agenda is perfectly acceptable. Let's say you get the best possible news. Your project has been approved. Congratulations, but don't start demolition just yet. Your approval will almost always come in the form of a letter, and this letter will contain conditions of approval. You need to read this document as carefully as you read the CC&Rs. It might say something like, project approved contingent upon the homeowner posting a $2,000 security deposit to cover any potential damage to common areas. Or, approval is granted provided that the construction dumpster is placed on the homeowner's driveway and not on the street. These are not suggestions, they are requirements. You must abide by every single condition. Share this letter with your contractor immediately so they are aware of all the rules they must follow. Now the construction phase begins and the HOA's involvement doesn't end. This is where you have to be vigilant about following the rules and regulations for construction activity. Work hours. Your contractor must strictly adhere to the permitted work hours. If the rule is no work on Saturdays, that means no work. A single instance of a saw starting up at 7 a.m. on a Saturday morning will result in a flood of angry emails to the HOA board, a warning letter for you, and potentially a fine. Parking. This is a huge issue in Southern California. Where will your crew and trade partners park their trucks? You cannot block your neighbors' driveways or take up all the guest parking spots in a condo complex. Your contractor needs a parking plan. This might involve shuttling workers from a nearby street or coordinating deliveries for off-peak hours, debris and site cleanliness. The rule is simple. Your construction site should not spill out into the neighborhood. Debris must be contained in a proper dumpster. The street in front of your house must be swept clean at the end of every day. Loose materials should be neatly stacked and secured. A messy, disorganized site is a magnet for complaints. Noise and dust. Remodeling is inherently noisy and dusty. A good contractor will take steps to mitigate this. They'll use dust barriers, cover sensitive areas, and try to schedule the loudest activities for the middle of the day. It's also a good idea for you, the homeowner, to give your immediate neighbors a heads up before a particularly noisy day, like demolition day or when concrete is being cut. A simple, "Hey, just wanted to let you know tomorrow is going to be pretty loud between 10 and 2. We appreciate your patience," can work wonders for maintaining goodwill. HOA inspections. Be prepared for members of the HOA board or the property manager to stop by the site. They have the right to do this to ensure the work is proceeding according to the approved plans and that the construction rules are being followed. Your contractor should greet them professionally, answer their questions, and never be confrontational. If they see that the window frames being installed are bronze, but the approval was for white, you have a major problem. This is why it's critical for your contractor to have a copy of the approval letter and the approved plans on site at all times. But what if, despite your best efforts, you receive a denial letter? Don't panic and don't get angry. Your first step is to understand why you were denied. The denial letter should state the specific reasons. The reasons generally fall into two categories, procedural or substantive. A procedural denial is because you made a mistake on the application. Maybe you forgot to include the contractor's insurance or your plans weren't to scale. This is the easiest type of denial to fix. You simply correct the error, provide the missing information, and resubmit your application for the next meeting. A substantive denial is more challenging. This is when the committee has rejected the design itself. The letter might say, "The proposed addition violates the 10-foot rear yard setback requirement as defined in CC&R section 8.2, quote, or the proposed color palette is not in harmony with the community's aesthetic." In this case, you have two options: modify your design to comply with their feedback or appeal their decision. If you choose to appeal, you need to go back to your governing documents and understand the formal appeal process. Usually, it involves submitting a written request for an appeal hearing with the main HOA Board of Directors. This is not the ARC, this is their boss. At the hearing, you will have a chance to present your case. You cannot just say, "I don't like your decision." You need to build a logical argument. Perhaps you can show that the ARC misinterpreted a guideline. Or you can point to other homes in the neighborhood that have a similar feature to what you're proposing, setting a precedent. You might bring your architect or contractor with you to answer technical questions. The key is to remain calm, professional, and respectful throughout the process. Yelling at the board will get you nowhere. Presenting a well-reasoned case with supporting evidence gives you a fighting chance. Let's fast forward. The construction is complete. The last nail has been hammered. The last paintbrush cleaned. You're not quite done with the HOA yet. There are a few final steps to officially close out the project. First, you may need to file a notice of completion with the HOA. This is a formal letter stating that the project approved under application number 123 is now finished. Second, the HOA may want to conduct a final inspection. A member of the ARC will walk the property to verify that what was built matches exactly what was approved in the plans. They'll check the paint colors, the window styles, the roofing material, everything. If there are any discrepancies, they can compel you to change them to match the approved plans. This is why you and your contractor must never deviate from the approved plans without first getting a formal written amendment from the HOA. A small change made on the fly can turn into a huge, expensive problem at the final inspection. Once the final inspection is passed, you can formally request the return of your security deposit. The HOA will inspect the common areas around your property, sidewalks, streets, landscaping, to ensure no damage was done during construction. If everything looks good, they will refund your deposit in full. If your contractor did, for example, crack a section of the community sidewalk, the cost of that repair will be deducted from your deposit. This is why it's so important to hire a contractor who is careful and has good insurance. Now, we need to talk about the dark side. What happens if you decide to skip this entire process? What if you just go ahead and repaint your house or build a new deck without getting HOA approval? This is, without a doubt, one of the most financially risky decisions a homeowner can make. It might start with a simple letter. A neighbor reports you and you get a notice of violation in the mail. The notice will demand that you either submit an application for the already completed work, which may or may not be approved, or immediately return the property to its original condition. If you ignore the notice, the HOA will start levying fines. These fines can be assessed daily, weekly, or monthly, and they can add up with frightening speed. We've seen situations in Orange County where homeowners have accumulated thousands of dollars in fines for an unapproved project. If you still refuse to comply, the HOA can place a lien on your property. This is a legal claim against your home that will prevent you from selling or refinancing it until the lien, including all the fines and the HOA's attorney fees, is paid in full. In the most extreme cases, the HOA can actually take you to court to get an injunction forcing you to remove the unapproved construction. Imagine having to pay a crew to tear down the beautiful new patio cover you just paid them to build. It's a nightmare scenario, and it's completely avoidable by following the process from the very beginning. To wrap this all up, working with your HOA during a remodel is not about fighting a battle, it's about building a partnership. It's a process that rewards preparation, professionalism, and proactive communication. Let's recap the key mindsets for success. First, be prepared. Read your documents. Understand the rules before you even start designing. Know what's allowed and what isn't. Second, be professional. Submit a complete, detailed, and polished application packet that answers every possible question. Make it easy for them to say yes. Third, be communicative. Talk to your neighbors. Keep the HOA informed. Have your contractor maintain a clean and respectful job site. And fourth, be patient. Understand that the process takes time and is managed by volunteers. Following these principles will transform your relationship with your HOA from adversarial to collaborative and ensure your project moves forward smoothly, on time, and without the stress of violation, notices, and fines. You'll be protecting not only your investment but the value of your entire community. Thank you for tuning in for another deep dive here on the Oceanfront Builders channel. We hope this detailed guide has demystified the HOA process for you. If you found this information valuable, please hit that like button, and if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel for more in-depth content on all things construction and remodeling. For those of you here in Southern California, in Los Angeles or Orange County, and you're thinking about a project that might involve navigating a tricky HOA, we have decades of experience doing just that. We've successfully worked with hundreds of HOAs, from coastal communities in Newport Beach to the hills of Los Angeles. We know their processes inside and out. The best way to get started is to give us a call for a consultation. Our number is 888-336-8586. You can also see a portfolio of our work, including many projects within HOA communities, on our website at oceanfront.builders. That's oceanfront.builders. We look forward to helping you build your dream. We'll see you on the next one.